Can someone please explain to me how patch's a good disguise? Like, an eye patch and some thick sideburns can't be doing that much to change the look of Wolverine, of all people. As you can probably guess from the title and the thumbnail and the intro, this week is all about Wolverine, as we begin the character's first ever solo ongoing, appropriately titled Wolverine. Now, this is, of course, Wolverine Volume 2, as Wolverine Volume 1 was the 4-issue miniseries by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller that released back in 1982. And I covered that book way back in part 20 of this series. Today, however, like I said, is the beginning of Wolverine Volume 2, the first 13 issues, to be specific. And this book is interesting, as it seems that in my very rudimentary research, for the first 2 years of its life, this book gets passed around to different authors, all of who tell whatever story they have in mind for the character. In this first batch, we start with Chris Claremont, and then we move on to Peter David in the later half. On that topic, this was not the strongest start we've had for a book. That's not to say it's bad. I do still think it's a good book, but the first couple of arcs didn't really grab me the same way other series have, especially other series written by Claremont. The first arc, for example, is a good example of this, as it has Logan looking for a cursed sword, called the Muramasa sword, that corrupts whoever it wields. This plot doesn't really do anything too special to differentiate itself from any other telling of this cursed weapon trope. I mean, there's a cult who wants the sword, he teams up with a plucky young woman, there's a damsel in distress, the main character gets corrupted from the cursed item, and someone's able to resist the effects of the sword. It's a pretty by the books plot structure, which is fine, but usually when that's the case, there's something else going on, like a side plot or interesting character decisions or something, and none of that's here. I mean, yeah, sure, you have Silver Samurai, who's kind of cool, I guess. Lindsay McCabe is fun enough, which is good, considering she's like the main protagonist of issue 3. And then we get the introduction to the Patch persona, but even that feels kind of half-assed in this arc. Like, it's a less of a long-term cover and more of just a quick disguise so people don't know Wolverine isn't dead. I don't know. It almost feels like the first pass to a plot of a 4-issue miniseries that was just kept as is when the book got upgraded to be an ongoing. Moving on to the second arc, which I think is a significantly better introduction to the book. We get a much better look and explanation on Madripoor as a whole. We get properly introduced to all the side characters, some of them being entirely new, others being pre-established Marvel characters, such as Lindsay McCabe, Jessica Drew, and Karma's uncle, actually. We still don't really get an explanation on the Patch persona and how it came to be, and we don't really get any modicum of that information until like issue 11, and even then it's like a line. It doesn't really explain much at all. But we at least established that he has had this alias for a while, specifically in Madripoor, and the people around town know him as such. The gang war plot is much more interesting too. Not only does it tie nicely into the setting and introduce all of the characters fairly well, but it's just a much better paced and intriguing story. Starting with the death of a government official, which leads to Patch into finding himself caught up in a gang war as General Coy tries to eliminate his competition in the city and uses his hired goons, Bloodsport, not that one, and Roughhouse to do it. There's plenty of action and intrigue and Logan doing what he does best, and it's nice to see him prove that he is actually the best at what he does. If there was one thing I think is lacking about this arc, it would be the conclusion. Despite the giant action-filled issue, the actual ending of the gang war is glossed over as a compromise in the following issue. We do have a sort of epilogue, as Patch then uses Joe Fixit to dismantle General Coy's illegal operations even further, and that's kind of fun. Patch and Fixit have a very fun back and forth, and Patch is just like pranking Fixit the entire time. It's a fun read, but yeah, this arc just kind of ends, which is unfortunate. After that, we have a couple of issues that are kind of one-off issues. Wolverine number 9 is a flashback to a time when Wolverine completed a promise he made to make a group of thugs suffer for things they did when they took over an American embassy in Iraq 5 years prior. This is a simple but effective issue, and we get to see the classic blue and yellow suit again, which is neat. I am not sure how I feel about the patch section at the end. I understand that from a kind of consistency standpoint, as everything previous has been at Madripoor with patch, and this story is so far removed from that it could be kind of confusing for readers. But at the same time, the last page doesn't add anything worthwhile, so I'm just curious why it's even there in the first place. It doesn't need to be. This could just be a one-off in the past storyline, and it would have been fine. Issue 10, on the other hand, is probably my favorite of the bunch. Not only does it have incredible art by John Buscema and Bill Sienkiewicz, a pair that will continue as the artist for the remaining issues of this batch, but it also fleshes out the backstory between Sabretooth and Wolverine, specifically their rivalry. The way we switch between the past and the present here is excellent, with the sections in the past slowly giving us context for what's happening in the present, eventually revealing that both stories take place on the same day, years apart, specifically Wolverine's birthday. And as a tradition, Sabretooth hunts him down and kills him every year, which is why Wolverine is tense and cagey with those he knows throughout the entire issue. I think this is just a great issue all around. The art, the writing, everything, easily my favorite of the bunch, like I said. And I think this issue and the last convinced me that a proper Wolverine anthology book would go kind of hard if done right. I do not know if that exists. Maybe it does, and I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know. But just these last two issues have proven to me that you would do a really good Wolverine anthology. After that, we have the final three issues of the arc, which make up the first half of the 6th issue Gannett Stone Affair arc by Peter David. I hope the back half of this arc sticks to landing, because I really loved these 3 issues. This is the kind of insane story that makes me love comics. Because, yeah, why not? Let's have Wolverine and Jessica Drew fight pseudo-vampires across San Francisco who are looking for pieces of a crystal that has the soul of a demon trapped inside, and the vampires are working for a descendant of said demon. Oh, and also, the brother of the pilot friend Archie Corrigan takes on the personas of pop culture characters all the time, and this time he's Indiana Jones, because why the fuck not? It's all kinds of batshit insanity, and it's awesome. I appreciate that this storyline also sets up the finale in the exposition. I mean, really, come on now. The demon was defeated by a fierce warrior armed with unbreakable steel and a divine right. Who the fuck do we know that fits that description? I look forward to seeing that come to fruition. Or maybe I'm just wrong and the story ends up subverting that expectation and the demon is killed by Jessica Drew using a 44 Magnum or some shit. I don't know. I can't wait to read more in 4 weeks. All in all, I do think this is a pretty good batch of issues. Not the best start we've ever had, but far from the worst. And I'm just glad to have started this series. I know it has some pretty legendary writers take the wheel down the line, so I'm excited to get to those when I get to them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a much shorter one than last week, as you can probably tell. Even if you did like it, please hit the like button. That helps a ton. And comment your thoughts on this book down below. And next week is even more Wolverine, but not this series. We're doing a couple of offshoot adventures. So subscribe, hit that bell, and I will see you then.